Hi, everyone. Over the past months, I've received quite a lot of comments and questions wanting to know more about a particular subject in a video, especially after posting the afterlife video. So I thought it might be helpful to try to answer a few of those questions and hope to clarify anything that might be confusing. And again, I'd like to repeat that this knowledge I share with you here is my own and what I've gained from my guides and teachers and higher awareness. And I'm not necessarily asking you to take it on as your own truth. Use your discernment and decide what resonates and research what doesn't. And although we definitely can learn from everyone, you will always be your own greatest teacher. So have fun with it. And let's see what we've got here. Okay, question 1. In the last video about addictions, I was wondering if we ever get addicted to other people, like a boyfriend or husband or child, and that makes us more afraid of dying. Great question. Oh, yes. In fact, I really should have added that into the discussion on addictions, but I just didn't think about it when I was recording. Our anxiety of leaving our loved ones, family and friends, is one of the top worries that creates a fear of dying. Along with things like the belief in hell or getting lost. This is all a fear of the unknown. And yeah, a large part of an addiction to a person is that they make you feel safe. And the thought of either them leaving you or you leaving them through death is an aspect of survival itself. You may have developed a need for them in your life and depend upon them for your care or your companionship and just can't stand the thought of being without them. Maybe they become so important to you that you just don't want to be with anyone else, and they become your whole life. And, to love someone that much, that's really beautiful. Yet, yeah, it can become a sort of obsession. I mean, it was for me. I certainly felt that way about my husband. And when he passed, we had become so close over the years that I was convinced that I would not be able to live without him. And that's, of course, completely understandable. Yet I know it's almost impossible to see this at the time of the loss, but this can become a vital opportunity to trust and learn to surrender to a higher power, to accept what you can't change and grow from it. It's absolutely natural to become afraid of losing our loved ones. But at some point, it would be wise to recognize how detrimental this anxiety is to your life and peace of mind. That's one reason it's so important to learn about the afterlife, and that our loved ones did not die and never will. They just moved into a higher realm, a realm of pure love and beauty, and are accessible to us at any and all times. And you will soon have the opportunity to be with them again if you choose. Try not to worry. You will never lose them. I promise. Question 2. What if a person has come to Earth purposely to experience addiction? Then will they still have to be reincarnated? Okay, the way I understand this is that it will mostly depend upon whether the person is still addicted, still caught up in the habit, or has successfully released it. When an addiction is a deliberate part of the life plan, included for the experience, at death, the memory returns, and the soul will remember this addiction was a chosen part of the divine plan, and will then be directed back to the afterlife, where he can then decide if he chooses to go on or to reincarnate. See, the trap is when the soul becomes so lost into the material life that all it wants is to come back to earth immediately and resume its addictive behaviors. But it's really enough just to hold the intent that we don't agree to return, and we won't have to. Okay, question 3. I have a question about the immersion video where you said that rather than walking into a body for a lifetime, an ET could use the immersion technique for entertainment or short little trips instead of years. My question is, do they still have to breathe in that liquid? No. If they're only going to be immersed for the duration of a game or a short time, this is referred to as a dry immersion, and there's no need for the nutrient liquid. This is only needed when the body is in suspended animation for years. Question 4. I have a question about the afterlife video. Is it possible to skip over the life review after death, or are we forced to watch it and we can't move on until we do? Okay. From what I've been told, you're able to put off viewing the life review until you're ready. Some wait for years before they agree to watch it, but most are anxious to see how they did and learn from it. So I've been told that before a soul decides to watch its life review, it will usually go to a resting space of contemplation to reflect on the life they just left before moving on. They don't usually move on further until their life has been reviewed in some way, because this is very important. It's an important part of the in-between life to discover where the soul is on its journey. The life review is there to help the soul to learn and grow from their experience and decide what areas they might want to improve on in the next incarnation. And they're never judged by others for anything they did in that lifetime or any lifetime. If there's any judgment, it's all our own. It's always self-judgment. It's my understanding that your guides will occasionally ask if the soul is ready to view its life. If not, then it's free to wait. The guides continue to comfort and reassure the soul, and after a time of reflection and contemplation, most finally decide they're ready to watch and make plans for the next life. Okay. This question is from the video Starseed Sensitivity. If you are way more sensitive than most people to smells and sounds and lights, does this mean you are a starseed? Well, not necessarily, but the fact that most starseeds are so much more sensitive to the earthly vibrations, there is definitely a higher possibility that one who is, overly sensitive to light and sounds or smells or crowded spaces has most likely come from a more tranquil life in a higher frequency of love. And those earthly things that assault the senses are much more difficult for a starseed to tolerate than one who has become used to it, through several earthly incarnations. Okay, question 6. Here's a walk-in question. Do you mean a soul can leave a human body during its physical lifetime and another more advanced soul can enter the body and continue the journey to ascension? Yeah, exactly. There are thousands of walk-in souls in human bodies here on Earth right now, from all ET races. A walk-in swaps places with the one who was born into the body, either temporarily or permanently, for the purpose of performing a particular mission that usually includes helping to assist and heal humanity in some way. Question 7. This question is also from the immersion video. So can someone have two souls in their human body through their lifetime here? Or do you mean that one soul can navigate one or more bodies? And does the walk-in event always occur as a result of trauma or illness? Well, what I was discussing in the video was that the soul who is lying within the immersion pod, that soul is able, if desired, to guide and direct more than one human body at a time. And this would often be for a similar intention. Yet those physical vehicles, bodies, could be located at any place or time period on planet Earth. The technology is astounding. So the walk-in procedure has been agreed to by all of the souls who are participating before the event takes place. Usually, this is a situation where the original soul inhabiting the body agrees to vacate, so it can then be occupied by another incoming soul for a predetermined mission or goal. At the time of the exchange, there is one soul occupying the body, and that soul leaves, and the new one comes in to take over the life. It is, however, possible for one soul, the ET being lying within the pod, to operate two physical bodies. This wouldn't be a routine choice, but it is possible. And let's see, the second part of your question. Yes, that often happens where the human body experiences a traumatic event which triggers an awakening, and the frequency of the consciousness rises. Each soul exchange is chosen for different reasons. He's probably received everything he wishes from a human life. Or maybe the soul has changed its mind and just wants to go back home and leaves a perfectly healthy body behind. So that body container is grabbed up, so to speak, by an ET to use as a walk-in vehicle. But again, this always is agreed upon by all participating souls. It's not like an attack or something. It's all agreed upon. Okay. Eight. Before birth, are we able to design what the body will look like? And what if more than one soul wants the same body? Okay. It is the soul itself the being that is creating this incarnation. It's the soul itself who decides the physical characteristics of the body. The guides may show you more than one body, and it's up to you to accept or reject their suggestions. And once you choose the body, it's yours. Nobody else is going to, take it. Okay, where are we? 9. You said that during your near-death experience, you were at an exit point and could leave if you chose to. Is everyone who commits suicide at an exit point in their lives? No, not necessarily. But if a person does decide on suicide, they will be advised by their spirit guides to wait until the next exit point shows up, because it will make the transition much easier for all involved. Still, suicide, it's most difficult for those who are left behind. And there's often a lot of self-blame, like, what could I have done to stop this? Why didn't I see how bad it is? Where was I? How could I have helped? Really, taking one's life is never the answer. Okay, question 10. Could we opt out of reincarnation? Yeah, absolutely. But this takes an aware being to make this choice, so that you're not vulnerable to a low-density spirit attempting to pressure you into coming right back into another human life by telling you that you really messed up and you need to come back and repeat that life. Once you've returned to the in-between realm, let's say, you can opt out of reincarnation and remain in the afterlife for as long as you choose. Okay, question 11. Why is there a hierarchical system that exerts control on the other side and decides our next life? Well, it's not really quite that way. The High Council is only there to support you and make suggestions. They're not there to control or force you into reincarnating. As mentioned, once you pass over to the in-between realm, you can decide if or when you choose to come back. The council is only there to give advice. It's their job. And they always have your welfare at heart, so to speak. Every detail put into your life plan is your own. However, if they feel you are making mistakes or trying to take on too much at a time, they will make suggestions for revisions. But if you insist, they will not interfere with your decisions. They're only there to protect and guide you. Okay, question 12. What is the process of designing or finding a human body and choosing parents, physical features, birth location, etc.? Every choice, whether it's parents or the body or any other detail, is all selected toward accomplishing the goals within the life plan. When choosing parents, the soul will have the option of checking in on them first, viewing them as they are living their human lives, and decide if they seem suitable for your needs. As an example, sometimes the soul may choose abusive parents in order to learn compassion or self-worth. Or they may choose birth circumstances like poverty or abandonment in order to provide them with the resolve to escape those environmental controls or restrictions. The process of creating the physical features of the soul's body is done through thought. In the afterlife realm, everything is created through consciousness. The physical body is first imagined and then concentrated into a physical reality. However, it's different for a walk-in. If it's been decided that the soul will walk into a body that's already alive on the planet, then the soul, of course, will not create the body, but use the one already in a life on the planet. Okay. 13. Could we reject the body choices offered to us by the council if we don't like them and wait for the body we want? Yeah, well, I pretty much answered this, but to expand on it a bit. So as I said, the final choices will always be the one incarnating. If the guides feel they are making poor choices, they will do what they can to dissuade them from making a decision that might be harmful. And they can do this by showing the soul little visual snippets from that potential lifetime and hope the soul will come to a more favorable conclusion. See, when we reach the higher realms of the afterlife, we see the physical world very differently than from the 3D perspective when we're here. The body is chosen to coordinate with the details set into the life plan for a particular purpose. So it might not be the body and features you would choose from your current human life and preferences. In fact, sometimes souls will even choose a deformed or disabled body for the challenges it presents, or for the experience of overcoming the prejudices of others. Question 14. If there is no time, all happening at once, could our souls reincarnate into a past or future period of Earth's linear timeline, counting from the latest incarnation's point of time when that life ended? Or could we come into a life while we're still alive as another person in the same time period? I love these questions. This is a good one. As far as the time period, yes, you're able to choose to incarnate into any time period, even one which would be considered to be a future time than the one you just left, or the same time period in which you were currently living. Let's see, how can I put this? Because a soul can splinter itself into as many bits or fragments as desired, it has the freedom to select in what way it prefers to occupy the chosen vehicle. For example, identical twins are one soul inhabiting two physical bodies. Or another option is one soul, but two fragments of that soul living in two individual bodies in the same present time. So in this case, you could meet yourself. It's very possible that you could indeed, run into yourself. Okay. Additionally, there was another part of that question. What happens is that the soul fragment decides to loop back to repeat the exact same life it just left, hoping to do better this time. When this takes place, at death, the soul chooses to immediately return to the same fetus that they were in during the life they just left, and are born into that exact body and life once again, with a goal to live a more suitable life, to change what had happened in the previous life and make it better. Okay, 15. So this question asks, I already know who the person is that I will reincarnate into in my next life, and we are currently living at the same time period. But after knowing who he is, I don't want to become that person and want to choose a different body. Could I change my body choice, or is this impossible? And if I do this, does this mean I will create an alternate timeline? Holy moly. Wow, that's a good one. Well, if your soul fragment has incarnated or walked into this person that you mentioned, then you are already living this life simultaneous to your own life. It's important to remember that your higher soul self makes these decisions from a much more elevated frequency realm and may choose very different experiences than the one you would choose from your 3D mind. If your soul has chosen this person to incarnate into, then it must be important for your evolution as a soul. These lifetimes are not chosen lightly or carelessly. They are carefully planned out to expand our consciousness and evolve our soul. So, living life as this person must have been chosen for your greater good, the greater good of all. And the other thing you asked, yes, every alternate path creates a new timeline. All right. 16. How do you know if you're a walk-in soul? Most walk-in souls will have a sensation of not belonging to Earth, or feelings of not fitting in with their family or friends. Some walk-in souls choose to come into the human body with no memory of who they are in their ET life. And some choose to retain some memory. So it's different for everyone. I would say, however, that if you're asking this question, you're probably a walk-in soul, because this topic is so out there and bizarre to ordinary humanity. To even be willing to speculate on this as a possibility, you've already reached far beyond the mundane and are teetering on the brink of a great awakening. So I would say that you are definitely a starseed. Okay. 17. From the video, What Race Am I? I have lucid dreams where I am met by a friendly reptilian being who tells me that I have a hybrid child and asks if I would like to meet her. When I agree, the reptilian brings me a beautiful baby girl with large golden eyes and scales on her head and arms. I hold the little girl and feel a deep love for her and don't want to give her up. When I wake up, I feel like this was a real experience. Can you tell me, did this really happen to me? Well, as always, I would ask you to use your own discernment, but From my perspective, wow. With the deep love you felt, I would say this is definitely a very real experience, and what a beautiful one. Many starseeds tell of being brought aboard a ship and shown their hybrid children, and most have a reaction very much like your own. They feel a deep love, very similar to what they feel for their human children. Wow, great questions, guys. Keep them coming. And thanks so much. Bye.